Anyhow, this last movie is a somewhat interesting choice, and that would be from 1985, Cut and Run, in which it pretty much follows a newswoman and her cameraman. They go, I forget what country do they even go to. I don't remember. Um, they go to some jungle.
Some jungle. I'm trying to think of the name. It's kind of there on the tip of my tongue, but yeah.
Yeah, I honestly forget what jungle. So my apologies, but so they go to a jungle tracking down what, in my opinion, it's not actually clear why they're going to the jungle. Half of it seems like they're looking for the missing son of a TV executive. Another half they want to interview this guy who is supposed to be deceased, and another half they want to follow the drugs, which seem to be coming from there. And whilst they're doing this, there's a sort of a native tribe of these somewhat primitive tribe people going around killing people. And of course, they're being led by Michael Berryman, which is always nice to see. In my opinion, one of his better roles in this movie. And they have to deal with being chased by these terrifying people. So this is a movie I had not seen before. It's been on my radar for years. I never knew too much about it. So finally watching it, I was somewhat disappointed. I wasn't necessarily surprised, especially after seeing another one of this guy's movies, Body Count, which we talked about, let's say like 8 episodes back, which is also a somewhat disappointing movie. But I mean, this one is, I think the first thought is pretty decent, but I'll be honest and say that I was losing interest as the movie went on. Though that said, it is definitely worth watching if for the gore and death alone.
Well, just before I get into my thoughts, I will just mention that we did watch the unrated version of this. So if that's a question to anyone, I want to clear that up straight away. We watched the unrated version. The movie is on Tubi, and I think it's on Amazon Prime at the moment, but those are the R-rated cut versions, so if you watch that, you're going to miss out on pretty much most of the gore and violence, or at least, the significant parts of it.
Yeah, if this is your type of movie, I would highly recommend not watching this off either Tubi or Prime.
Yeah. Not to say Tubi and Prime aren't good streaming platforms, they are, it's just not for this movie.
Yeah, because there's such great scenes, and actually one of them that is probably one of the better scenes in the movie is I posted it on another one of my sites, and it's just this fantastic death scene. But I'm sorry, as you will.
I have a feeling it's the one where the guy gets torn apart.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
Actually rewind it and watch it again.
Yeah. But yeah, for my opinion on the actual movie itself, I remember watching this, and I actually, I had nothing to compare to, so I actually did watch this a little while back, and it was the unrated version that I did originally watch as well. So immediately, that one scene that I talked about, the guy getting ripped apart, and then there's a couple of other scenes too, but, there's some moments in the movie that really make you kind of go, wow, like what you just saw. And I guess for that reason, I liked it even more than I really did when I rated it originally. So this second time watching it, I still fairly enjoyed the movie. I just didn't, the rating I originally gave it didn't match up to my enjoyment of it the second time around. So I think it's still a decent movie. Now, obviously, whenever you think of the director's movies, Cannibal Holocaust, that comes up. That's another movie that I rate similarly to this in terms of enjoyment. I mean, this it moves at a decent pace, I guess. It's got some very energetic 80s music.
I do enjoy the music.
The music's a bit of a highlight in this one, so I don't know how you could watch it and not kind of get pumped by the music that gets played along in this one. But yeah, the movie, I mean, it doesn't lose my interest, but yeah, it just feels like, okay, we're just kind of moving along the jungle and, things are happening. And
yeah, I guess one thing that sort of, I don't know if it bothered me, but it made it feel somewhat less suspenseful. like these people, the woman and the cameraman, they know that these people are like watching them, like throughout, like it tries to 3 times. They either scare them by the snake basket for one. I mean, they know they're there. I mean, they could attack them anytime they wanted. So like when they finally get to the little, I don't know, port water area, and they finally find the kid. I mean, who doesn't think they're going to be caught, shortly thereafter? And hey, they are caught shortly thereafter. And I also have to mention, I guess you could call the main antagonist of this movie. I know there's a few, and Berryman being my favorite by far. But Richard Lynch, I really liked him in Bad Dreams, which is a movie I know that Chucky didn't particularly enjoy. But in this movie, that guy, more than anything, it just annoyed me. He has this like philosophical ramblings that I have no idea what he was trying to say. I'm assuming it was against the Western culture or something, but it's not really made clear. And my advice to any philosophers, if you have something deep to say, try to say it in a way that people can understand what you're saying. Otherwise, you just look like a pretentious dick.
He might have been high on his own supply.
Yeah, that is very possible. I mean, I feel like he wasn't really worth being like the big bad guy. Like, he was, and like the whole ending scene too, where he's giving his like, live, speech as it was. It's not like when he did what he did, and then I think it's Karen Black's character. Like, oh my god! Like, first of all, if you happen to be watching something like that, why would you react so strongly? Like, if you're in there in person, I get it, but her reaction just seemed way, way over the top to the situation.
Yeah, Karen Black was in this, I guess, just to put a name in the movie, but man, it just reminds me of how she has a really weird face. I didn't have too many points on this one, but the other thing I did want to say, the black guy in the movie, the kind of like pimp type guy played by Eric LaSalle, or better known as the Soul Glow guy from Coming to America. In theory, his death in the movie is like it's the idea behind it is quite gruesome, but I just wish, out of all the deaths that they have that are graphic in the movie, I just wish his would have been more graphic.
And actually, now that you mention it, his death, in my opinion, was somewhat ridiculous.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I understand. I'd be surprised if he wasn't killed for what he did. But he's literally, like, as soon as he's on the phone, these two guys are coming at him. It seemed a bit much. I mean, I don't know. This was an enjoyable movie. It's not like I hated this. Although I have to say, if I had seen the cut version, I probably would not have enjoyed this nearly as much. Because I actually watched the beginning massacre, both the uncut and the cut version, just to see the differences. And let me tell you, the cut version is so much more tame. Like, it was definitely worth watching the uncut movie. Obviously, some of the best scenes are in that version too. I don't know, even the story here didn't particularly interest me that much. That one kid, I forget the name of the actor, but his acting was a bit iffy. And I don't know, it's just the small things in this movie that just didn't work for me. And the ending itself, like I said, I think it's somewhat anticlimactic. It is worth mentioning though, here's a fun fact, I've never actually seen Cannibal Holocaust. So, I'm assuming, because I've seen other cannibal movies, like maybe Jungle Holocaust or Mountain of the Cannibal God. So I enjoy those. So I'm assuming I'll enjoy Cannibal Holocaust whenever I get to it. But this movie just seems, even though it is a bit more violent with the uncut version, it still seems somewhat tame. And it definitely seems more of a action oriented as opposed to anything else. Which is fine. It's still an enjoyable movie. It's just not quite as good as I was sort of hoping it would be.
I'm kind of surprised that you haven't watched Cannibal Holocaust, considering you're more of a found footage guy than I am.
Well, see, so I was actually working on watching, other quote-unquote big Italian cannibal movies in order they came out, and I sort of stopped after Mountain of the Cannibal God, which was 78, so I never actually got to 1980, and also I think that other movie that John Saxon came out then too, which I haven't seen yet. Cannibal Apocalypse, if I recall. So I've not seen either one. So whenever I get to them, I should be in for a good time. Once we do our cannibal night.
Well, we've already done like 2 cannibal movies in one show today, so.
Is this really a cannibal movie?
Well, I guess not. Well, yeah. I mean, if you've seen Cannibal Holocaust, you would feel like these characters pretty much feel like they're of same or similar tribe to these other ones. I guess in a way, but I guess you could say it's not.
I mean, I wish it was.
Yeah, I guess they're not because we never really see them chop up anyone to eat. Usually when you go around killing people, you don't waste the meat, so they would have taken some bodies with them if they were.
It is worth mentioning, this tribe is pretty creepy though. I love like there's like I think 2 scenes at the beginning and then like one, midway through where they, just go in for the attack. Both of them are fantastically fun scenes. So, like I said, I've not seen this one before. I enjoyed finally getting to see it, and I definitely enjoyed watching the uncut version, but it wasn't a movie I particularly loved, and I might still recommend it, if only because I think the gore is worth seeing. And just seeing that one guy getting, ripped, and have some quality stuff. And you can find that scene on YouTube too if you know where to look. It's a decent movie. I like the vibe. I just didn't care that much for some of the plot. In some ways, the plot almost felt more complicated than it needed to be. Like they threw in Jonestown. They didn't need to do all that stuff. It's an okay movie, a bit below average, and I'm throwing it a 6 out of 10.
I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10 for this one. Yeah, I enjoyed it enough. I didn't enjoy it as much a second time around as I did the first, and I think that's just because the wow factor of the gore had dissipated to some degree. It's one of those things where you see it for the first time, it's so surprising and, it wows you, but the more you see it, the less it does that. Yeah, so I think people watching this for the first time, when they see some of those scenes, they'll have the same reaction.